How are you? Good to see everybody. So we're here with Attorney Robert J. Schefter, attorney at law, and I'm excited. If everyone could please really do us a favor and share it out. It's good to see you, Attorney Robert. I didn't want to squeeze too hard. I almost forgot. How's your hand going?
It's getting there.
Nice.
When you're old like me, it takes longer to heal.
Yeah, I'll be 50 this year, so I have experience. You know what I mean? I call it experience. But, you know, local, experience, reliable. This is the phone book in this generation, in this world, in 2019. The phone book is social commerce. You actually have the opportunity to get to know like when I was a kid, you didn't get to know the attorney, right? You were like, whoa, you didn't even have access unless you had, some type of knew somebody, right? And nowadays, you find out that, guess what? This is like the way to go, the only way to go. When I learned that, it's so crazy. When you realize that social commerce gives you the opportunity to see things are also doable, and you're approachable, you're reliable, you're experienced, and you're local. And all those things matter when you're going to court.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny you talk about that, Shane. Just this morning, I was in court at a district justice level for a preliminary hearing for a DUI client. Now, typically, during a free consultation, my client will come in, I'll meet with them, we'll kind of interview each other, and then decide if it's a good fit. This young man lives in Philadelphia, so we just had a phone conference. And today, I met him for the first time at his hearing, at his preliminary hearing. And he came in, we sat down, I went over everything with him, and he said, wow, he's like, thanks so much for explaining everything. And he's like, you're just kind of like a regular guy. And I said, well, of course. I mean, but you're right. If you don't, it's the first time I met him, and that's not usually how I operate. But because he lives in Philadelphia, we just met today. And so he had hired me, and without having met me, which I guess back in the day would happen quite a bit. But now, I try to meet with everyone, and so they can decide then after meeting me if they want to hire me. But here, it was neat to hear this morning someone who had already hired me but not met me say, thank you so much for all the information. I'm really glad I hired you because we hadn't met until today.
Yeah.
So that's just a little example of that. But it is important to feel comfortable with your attorney, absolutely, and confident that he knows what he's doing. So today, Shane, I just wanted to share, speaking about that, I wanted to share a story about a recent
Does that look
case.
good, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. So
if it doesn't, it can't change how I look, right?
No. We appreciate the shares and the invites. We really do, because, real quick before we get started, I just want to let people know, your friend's probably not going to tell you maybe they got pulled over and they got charged with a DUI, or they got driving while intoxicated, or they got these charges, right? They're not going to tell you it happened because they're embarrassed, they don't feel good about themselves right now, and they're really stressed out. So when you share this, in the privacy of wherever they watch this, they have the option now to have a lifeline out there, right? So that's why we asked to share and invite. It's called Social Commerce, and this is the yellow page of the 2019. So let's talk about this case.
Okay, so this case involves an alcohol monitor. So what happens is, if it's a first offense, you don't have to worry about it. But unfortunately, I represent a number of people who have an issue with drugs or alcohol, and unfortunately, they've been charged their second time or more. And I've seen it all. I've seen people who have 7 or 8 DUIs. So you need to know that I've just about seen and heard everything. So when you come in, you talk about a judgment-free zone. Really, I'm not there. I could care less about judging you about what happened. My job is to help you through it. So in this instance, I represent a gentleman who was charged with a second offense DUI within the last 10 years. So immediately upon being arrested, they're going to file the charges right away, and they're going to make him wear an alcohol monitor. It's an ankle bracelet. It's also called a SCRAM, which is an acronym for Secure, Continuous, Regular, Random Alcohol Monitoring. And that is going to, through his skin, going to continually monitor whether allegedly, whether he's consumed any alcohol. All right, so they're going to put that on you right away. And then you're going to be scheduled for a preliminary hearing, typically about a month later. So here we are about a month from the charges, and we have a preliminary hearing scheduled for the following day. I get notified, I get a fax in my office that says, at the preliminary hearing, we're also going to have a bail revocation hearing. and that's it. That's all I have. I don't know what it's about. So, but what it means is the Commonwealth, the DA's office, is trying to revoke this gentleman's bail. If your bail is revoked, you will sit in jail until your case is disposed of, which will be a minimum of 4 or 5 months, and that's if it's a guilty plea. If you're going to trial, it could be a lot longer. So, this is huge. This is significant. So I call my client right away. He says, yeah, my PO, my supervised bail PO got a hold of me and said that I had a positive reading for alcohol. And this had allegedly occurred a couple weeks prior. And usually what happens is they'll get a reading alleging that someone consumed alcohol, but the person doesn't know about it until after the fact, until well after it happened.
Okay.
So here in this instance, I'm being told a day ahead of time they're going to try to revoke this guy's bail and make him sit in jail. So I talked to my client, understood what his position was. So we show up at the hearing the next day, and I get a copy of the petition at the hearing. So right when I walk in the door, right before I have to go into court, here's what they're alleging. And they're alleging that he had continuous positive readings for alcohol on his alcohol monitor throughout an entire weekend, beginning on Friday morning and going through Sunday night. And therefore, they're trying to revoke his bail. So they get the supervised bail officer on the phone and says basically what the PO says is that I got a report from the alcohol monitoring company that said he was positive. He had a number of positive hits all weekend. Therefore, we want to revoke his bail. And that's it. So I asked the PO about what was in the petition, and the response was, well, I don't know, because that's just what VigilNet told me. So I'm trying to defend my client, and all I'm getting is, well, I don't know, that's just what they say. So backing up, when my client was informed that there was an allegation that he had a positive reading, he said, look, I didn't consume anything. He said, but that alcohol monitor was so tight, it dug into my skin. And it got to the point where it was starting to ooze, and it was nasty. So it was over the weekend, I tried to call, I got no answer. He said, I had to clean it out. So he cleaned it out, and then the following day, when they were open, he went in and got it switched out and got it put on the other leg and where it wasn't so tight. And then after that, he was informed that there was an allegation of consumption. So he told his PO, it's like, look, I didn't consume anything, but I had this issue. Now you're telling me I'll go back and look. And he looked at the body wash that he uses, and there was alcohol in it. So our position was that the alcohol got into his skin, got through his skin and into his blood through the body wash. That was his position. I'm not trained in this, so factually, I don't know if that's possible or not. But that's what he told his PO, and so the PO then allegedly went back to the company and told them that what the defendant was alleging, and they said absolutely not. This could not have been environmental. This was consumption. So we're at the hearing, and I hear that, and I said, well, I can't question this person. Why are they saying that? What are they basing it on? And the PO said, well, if I would have known, we could have had them present, or at least on the phone. And I said, okay, I get that. And it's not the PO's fault. So then my client testifies and tells the judge, hey, this is what happened. I did not consume anything. The judge ultimately said, I'm going to give the defense here the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to just keep him on supervised bail. And that's the right decision, because when it comes to a bail revocation, the Commonwealth has the burden of proof. They have to prove to the sufficiency to convince the judge that the person consumed alcohol. That's what the purpose is of the alcohol monitor, to prevent people from drinking alcohol.
Now, I just want to cut in for 1 second. If I would have went in by myself, boom, I would have been shut down. I wouldn't have known anything, right? So I wanted you to see, that's important.
Well, yeah,
because
absolutely.
If someone went in by themselves, I would have been, boom. I mean, I even had to go for a ticket that I had, right? So, because I understand the long term, I don't know the law, right? And you do, and you know it for how many years?
Right. 20 couple.
That's a lot of experience. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So just going back to them having to prove it.
Yeah, I can't imagine, trying to put myself in my client's position, walking in to a situation. I mean, just the stress of knowing that if this judge says, okay, yeah, this was a violation, your bail's revoked, you're getting led away in handcuffs and you're going to jail, and you're sitting in there for months. So the other point I made to the judge is, okay, they can allege that, but that's not proof. Someone that sent an email to the PO saying there was a violation, that's not proof. And I didn't have the opportunity to cross-examine this person at all. And secondly, and I think the most important fact here, and I don't know if it came through in my description, but my guy had called in and said, this thing is cutting into my skin, I'm bleeding, it's oozing, I need to come in and get a new one.
Wow.
And then, so he gets a new one, and then he's told about the allegation. So if the Commonwealth is saying, we don't believe him, he's making this up, my response is, there's no way he's making it up, because this all happened before he was even informed that there was an allegation that he was drinking. So the combination of those factors, the judge, rightfully so, denied the bail revocation request and kept him on his supervised bail. The biggest takeaway from this is if you or someone you know is on an alcohol monitor, you're given pretty strict restrictions as to what you can consume, what you can't, what type of shower gel you can use. You really need to strictly follow that.
Wow.
Because you could find yourself in a situation where your bail is going to be revoked for something that does not involve the ingestion of ethanol alcohol. So, and we were fortunate that we had a district justice who used common sense and who knows the law and said, you know, the Commonwealth did not prove this, because there are other judges and I've seen it where we would have a valid defense, I believe, to some of these allegations, and some judges and district justices will take the word of the alcohol monitor company, and if they say there's a violation, it's next to impossible to disprove that.
Well, they want their brand. I mean, if I'm the one that's going in there, I'm like, man, of course they want their brand. They don't want to have me say it's not that, because that would make their brand not as, questioned possibly. So,
right.
They're in a tough position, and that's why representation is important. Local, experienced, reliable. You're right on Leaders Heights Road. There's your phone number, 717-747-9048. DUIresults.com. You have a website.
Yes.
You have a Facebook page.
I do.
You're accessible.
Results.
All right. So people get charges. I get charges, and I'm freaking out. Right. I'm like, oh my God. I don't call you from the street. Right. When everything's happening, that doesn't happen. I'm like, I'm calling my lawyer.
They're not going to let you.
All right, and I'm not going to call you from prison either, jail. I'm not going to call you from there, right? So all these little things that you might think really don't happen. So the reason I'm telling you this is just to calm down and relax. The process takes time.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and typically people will wait to call when they get the charges, and that's probably the best, so that you come in and we can sit down and look at the charges together, read the allegations. However, if you get arrested and you spend the night in jail and you come out and you're freaked out, give me a call, because there are lots of times when I'll talk to someone before they get the charges and just kind of let them
take them off the ledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we go on the ledge. I mean,
absolutely.
When you get into something, even a ticket like getting pulled over, I'm like, oh my God, I called you right away, didn't I?
Right.
I'm like, hey, here's what happened. Can you help me out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
So
just wanted to know that it was in the right hands, right? And I can whew,
Yes.
So you prevent yourself from making a mistake. Look, it's not a judgment zone. It's a let's get you back on track zone.
Right.
Let's minimize the collateral damage, the financial damage, the emotional damage, and get back to regrouping.
Right. Absolutely. That's
because the repercussions matter for jobs, for all these other things that you have, and you're going to want to have the best outcome in your favor, and do what you got to do to, however it shakes out. But when you get represented, you're not going to get anything extra, right?
Oh no, absolutely.
Right. So that's why experience matters.
Right.
I just say I can't imagine in this situation going in by myself and being like, I'd just be quiet.
Sure.
And you would sit there and just take it.
Right.
And that would be that. And you would leave and you'd be like, oh my God.
Well, you could leave in handcuffs.
Right.
That person has a family, my client has a job and a family, and that would have just been a terrible outcome if his bail would have been revoked based upon that allegation with a lack of proof. So that's what I'm here for.
So any other cases you want to talk about? We're going to finish up here.
You know, I have a pending case. I can't discuss it, but I'm going to be in trial for a good part of next week on a pretty serious felony charge involving a motor vehicle accident. So, so I've got a lot going on. I've got a lot of different cases that kind of run the gamut, from driving under suspension to your DUIs to your serious bodily injury cases, and again, a lot of them are DUI and motor vehicle related, but not all of them are. You know, that's kind of my niche. But really, any type of criminal charge, give me a shout, and I can talk to you about it. And if I can't represent you, if it's not something that I deal with, I'll get you to the right person.
And what areas do you work in? Just York County, or you do Adams County too?
York and Adams County.
Okay. And is it important to work with, like, so when you saw that Philly person, they knew not to bring a Philly judge here, right?
Yeah,
that kind of reminded me of, that's why local is important, right?
Yeah,
so
I've had a couple clients who have come to me and hired me after hiring some big gun Philly attorney, and you know, Philly attorneys are great, but when you really, the local practice, it is extremely important that you're familiar with it. That's why I don't go to Philly in practice, you know. So it's really important, and that sometimes is. Big city attorneys from other areas will come in and think that they can kind of bully people around, and that's not true. So sometimes, you know, that can backfire. If you turn off the DA, if you come in and try to, you know, bum rush the show and say this is how we're going to do things, the DA's going to say no, we're not, and it can be to someone's detriment. So it is very important to have someone local.
And we hear that, we do a lot of shows in every industry, we hear that, you know what I mean? People say it in every industry, whether it's insurance like me, I only do a small area, because everything has its idiosyncrasies, and real estate, same thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, the top professions concentrate.
Right.
You know, and that's why you are where you are today, is the experience you have. I mean, you have a lot of cases. People say years, I say cases. Think about the cases, think about the reading. You're an English major, right, in college? So he loves reading and writing,
right.
And that's important, right? That's part of the asset of what makes you great at what you do.
Yeah, all forms of communication are important when you're a practicing litigator. Obviously, the verbal skills, but you're writing a lot, researching a lot. So written and oral communication is extremely important.
DUIresults.com. Attorney Robert J. Schefter, attorney at law, local, experienced, reliable. 717-747-9048.
All right, thanks.
God bless. Thanks, man. Have a beautiful day.